Okay, welcome. A very, very warm welcome to this, the latest Soul Trader webinar, web talk, chat with myself, Rasheed Ogunlaru. It's just me, myself, and I this evening here at Base. I'm really glad that you're here. It's about 7:30, just 7:29. So I'm just going to make a very gentle start. And because today's topic is relax, re-energize, relax, recharge, and re-energize, let's just have a cup of tea. So if you're there and you're here early, just grab a cup of tea, put your feet up, make sure you're comfy in your favorite chair and your favorite cushions, and relax. Because that's what today's talk is all about. It's all about being relaxed, being calm, achieving life balance, being at peace, being very effective. So let's make a start. I make it 7:30 now. Hi, welcome, very warm welcome to this, our latest Soul Trader webinar. I'm Rasheed Ogunlaru, author of Soul Trader, Putting the Heart Back into Your Business. I'm a life coach, I'm a business coach, I'm a motivational speaker. And many of you know me, some of you work with me, some of you have read my books or been along to my talks and so on. I'm very glad that you're here. This is one of a series of webinars, talks that we have almost every month here on Soul-Trader. I say almost every month because next month, true to the topic of this, I'm going to have a month off as it's August. And that leads us really beautifully into today's topic: relax, re-energize, recharge, reconnect, all these re-words. Because I think sometimes in business we're just so busy. It might be the case that you're listening to this and you just have a very, very busy career. You know, sometimes we're just so busy that we don't relax. So it's one thing we're not really good at. Particularly as we have stepped into this particular century. When we stepped into this century, and as the century got underway, and we had more of these kind of mobile devices and so on, things started going, 24/7. We've had for a while now 24-hour news. There are all of these gadgets and devices and all sorts of different ways of connecting with people on social media and all these things that enable people to connect 24/7. And of course, if you're running a business, then you're only too aware how busy it can become. There's always something to do. So that's going to require you really managing your energy and being mindful of time. In a way, time isn't something that can be wholly managed. Time's finite, so you'll often hear people say there's not enough time. Not enough hours in the day, and if only they had enough hours a day. Well, you'll just fill that with more time, with more activity rather. So mindfulness is really key to this. Simplicity is also key to this, and focus is also key to this. I'm going to cover a few areas here in this talk, which some of you who've seen some recent postings from me and articles may have seen. I want to talk about time for you. I want to talk about time for things you love to do. I want to talk about time for loved ones too. And I want to talk about things that you ought to or need to do. And finally, time to review and preview. Let's start off with this time for you, because this is at the core. I just want you to think a little bit about where you're at right now in your life, in your career. I can invite you, in fact, just close your eyes for a moment. Take a couple of deep breaths. Breathe in. Hold it for a while. Breathe out. If you can, put your hand here on your stomach just to make sure you're actually breathing in properly. And just before that, I want you to just give a cough. Can you just feel the stomach going in as you do that? So I just want you to be very aware that you actually breathe deeply from here. So breathe in deeply. Notice the stomach going out, hold it, and then breathe out. Notice the stomach going in. Breathing in, and the hand on your stomach is going outward, hold it, and breathe out. All the way out, and that's your hand going in. Breathe in, hold, enjoy the hold, breathe out, spiral. In fact, just to keep taking a deep breath. People say to me all the time that they want inspiration. Inspiration is breath. Without the breath is too shallow. Then you're going to be struggling, you're going to be stressed, you're going to be tense. So when people really, really stressed out, people say, come and take deep breaths. When you're really rooted, or you really reconnected, make sure that you're breathing. Hold, and breathe out. Just notice how relaxing it feels. This is the first start of relaxing. So, where are you at right now? What's going on for you in your business, in your career? Whatever is going on for you, I just want to put that on hold and just to be here, to be centered here. This next 50 minutes or so is you time. It's not time for anybody else. Do you have any you time? Maybe you're so busy with business, inquiries, other responsibilities, that you're just really so full. And with all these kind of gadgets and all these things, and the email, the phones, the tablets, and the 24/7 news, maybe you've got so much stuff going on, you're not really connected to you. It can be the case that you've got so much stimuli that you're not really connected. So one of the things that I really invite you to do is to put into your diary some time for you. That might just be 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day for you. I was chatting to a client of mine, and she works in the health service, very, very busy, and she's senior staff member. And she talked about how she always ensures that she takes some time away from her desk. And that's really busy. She'll make sure that she takes at least half an hour every day. Of course, in the past it would be an hour. Many people don't take that. They're there at the desk, they grab a sandwich at the desk. She's aware that she needs that time for her. Her boss had even commented how she really admired how she ensures she has that time. Because the time for you is actually going to have an impact on everything that you do. It's going to be far more effective in everything that you do. So for those of you who are business owners, actually, the quality of your work is going to depend on the quality of how it is that you are, where you're at with yourself, how connected you are, how relaxed you are, how refreshed you are, how energized you are. So this time isn't a luxury, it's actually kind of a necessity. So let's go back to those necessities. How much sleep you get in? It might be the case that for you just going to bed half an hour earlier might have a big impact. So let's start with that. How much sleep you get in? What time do you go to sleep? Go to sleep in time with your patterns. And then I want to go back to this thing of putting in a little bit of time for you every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes at the start of the day. Just to be present with yourself, to be very grateful for being here, maybe to do some of those breathing exercises, maybe just to gently be mindful of what really is important that day. Time for you. I invite you to do that toward the end of the day too. It might be you need 2 or 3 of those throughout the day. If you're your own boss, if you're based at home, what's stopping you from taking a few of these mini breaks? And I can say that we should stop, we should stand up, or we should move around and so on. So This is really important. It's time for you. I'm a huge fan of nature. I'm a huge fan of those things that will nurture you. So getting out and about, getting some fresh air, just getting a different perspective, just working perhaps from a different space at a different time. It might be that for you, it's been so long that you've been in tune with you that you kind of don't quite know what to do, or it seems a bit foreign, or you're a little bit scared of it. But this is really, really important. Some of you will be very, very mindful of this, and it'll be part of your overall routine. So this time for you, this is the starting point. Because it's really, really important that you treat yourself to this. And when you're your own boss, particularly, you're the captain of the ship. It's your job to get it to safe harbor. You've got to allow yourself to give yourself time off. You know, it's really important how you treat yourself. Next up, things that you love to do. And it actually might be this that's actually the doorway in for you in terms of this relax, recharge, re-energize. So the time for you is the thing about making sure that you are relaxing. The time for things that you love to do has an element of this relaxing, also has an element of recharging. What are the things that you love to do? Maybe for you, it's with a wonderful, talented lawyer, contact of mine. He loves to paint. Maybe you love dance. I was running a series of workshops recently, and there was a group of ladies in this workshop. They love to dance. They used to love to go out and socialise. Others love to cook. Maybe you like to make things. I was running my regular networking event just yesterday, and one of the people there is really incredible. He makes all sorts of things. I think he even made a bow once, and all sorts of things, table furniture and so on. What's something you love to do? Maybe for you, it's you love to go for a run or for a jog. I was speaking to another client of mine. She loves gardening. It's very dear to her heart. What are the things that are your hobbies, your pastimes, and your interests? Sometimes when you're running a business, these things can take a back seat, as if you're listening to this, if you've got a very busy career. So what are those hobbies and interests and things that you need to bring back in? I love tennis, for example. I love music. Those people who know me. So for me, in terms of my business, it's really important that I have time for music. Some of these things will give you just such a holiday from the day job, from the business, that you need to, you know, just park it and just go away. That time away from what you do is absolutely key. And actually, strangely, it's actually brings so much to your business. I think that if you're purely looking at your business in terms of time and time spent, and you think, well, I don't have the time, then you're missing the point. It's not about the time spent, it's about the impact, it's about what is it that you really need to do, what is it that you really need to achieve in terms of business. And we'll come back to that when we talk about things that you all need to do in time to review and preview generally. But first we talked about relaxing. And then we talked about, you know, the time for you. And now we're talking about these things you love to do. What are those things? And bring them back in. Recently I love playing tennis, and more recently over the last couple of years started playing squash, love it. Tomorrow I'll be catching up with one of my clients, and who's very active in the work that they do. They're very, very successful in the entertainment industry, in what they do, and we're going to be catching up. We're going to be playing a game of squash ahead of their session. So I think that this is so important. This thing about things you love to do, and I think in the book Soul Trader, I talked about, again, another client of mine, very, very busy business, full on. She supports other people in her business, and when we were talking, she said to me, her name's Susan, and she said, you know, I really used to love to go for runs all the time. She really used to go for her run. And she said, you know what, Rasheed, when I go for my run first in the morning, I feel energized. If I don't, you know, everything can seem a little bit, you know, just too much. She's got loads and loads of emails. I was with somebody just saying that he gets hundreds of emails every day. This is very common. So I was in this 24/7 thing I was talking about. So in Susan's case, what she did was that she put in place running first thing in the morning with a friend, going jogging together. They both had kids. They both had very busy lives. It gave them an opportunity to catch up and do something which was energizing for them, but actually they found nourishing. And guess what? When she then gets to the computer, she actually feels far more vibrant and energized, because of course some of these things, particularly around health and well-being and exercise, actually give you energy. So not only do they give you a break, and that they give you the joy and the pleasure, and they give you that fitness to work up, they're great for the body. They're also good for clearing the mind, giving the mind a little bit of rest, using the mind in a different kind of a way, and then you've got that bigger bank of energy. So that's the beauty of these things. So many of these things will do that. So you'll have the physical activities that can do that, the gardening, the sport, and those kind of activities, the classes, the gym, what's right for you. And that's the question is, what is it that works for you? Maybe for you it's about a time of finding something new that you love to do, or reconnecting something you used to love to do ages ago, journaling, writing, and poetry, finding a class. What is it that resonates with you? Have fun with that, things that you love to do. And you know, it might be easy at a time like this. We're recording this in July, and you know, watching this July, August, and this kind of summer months, so it's easier where things may have quietened down. But it's really important that you have these things in place throughout the rest of the year. You know, soon we're going to be heading into the final quarter of the year, which often could be very busy, very full on, and very intense. So you need to make sure that you have these times for the things that you love to do, even during those busy times. So plot them in the diary. Might be also for you, it's about actual holidays or going away to particular places, galleries, whatever it is that resonates with you, or just visiting particular places, putting that thing and putting that time in the diary. That leads us beautifully into time for loved ones too. This is really, really key, and it's so easy that when you're really busy to squeeze down the time that you have for your loved ones. And one of the things I say often is, if you don't care about people, sooner or later, everyone's going to leave you. So I want you to stop and think for a moment. Who are the people who are really dear to you? Bring them to your attention. How much quality time do you spend with those people? And don't be concerned too much by just purely how much. Also ask yourself, what is the quality of the time when you are with those people? Because it might be the case that actually you might think, well, actually I'm surrounded by friends and family all the time, and I live here and, you know, work with this person or that person, and I'll see them all of the time. But actually I'm present. You know, are you on this thing all the time? Somebody's speaking to you, or doing something else with perspective on the computer. Are you actually present when you're there with people? Increasingly often we're not present when we're not available. My tip here is that you put in the time for loved ones first into your diary. If you don't put the time for the loved ones and things that you love to do in the diary first, if you're somebody who's very, very busy or very, very bad at being organised, then those things won't happen. They're so important that you need to put them in the diary first. So if I was coaching you, that's the first thing I'll do. People often surprised it's the first thing that I get them to do. It's that time for loved ones too. And ask yourself, you know, what is realistic for you and for them? Like you've got friends and family, or some people now got families, or, you know, different life stages, life changes, which will mean that at certain times it might be that it's apt for you to spend more or less time together, depending on where you're at. Conversation is really key here, and actually that having that communication. It might be that there's actually a period of time where you're working on something, but people may not see you for a month or so, or what have you, and then that's fine. It's important that you communicate that, so that you're able to be supportive of each other. But also you do need to be mindful about when those times when you do need to just be available, because there will be certain time, unforeseen times where something may well emerge. A call may come in and you need to be there right away. You need to be able to put things to one side. If you haven't been good at putting in time for you and type things you love to do, when these moments happen, even then when something very serious might happen, you might think, oh, I haven't got time. But as that saying goes, very rare is a person who, when all said and done, on their deathbed, says, I wish I spent more time in the office, I wish I spent more time. So time for you, time for things you love to do, time for loved ones too. Just want you to pause there. Let's try to share about what I've discussed so far, what we've explored. Is something coming to mind? Is something coming to mind? It might be something that you've realised that will give you time for you. You might realise, oh yeah, that point in my journey where I walk from here to here, that could be my time for me. Where I could just sit down and I could just sit on a park bench. There might be some really simple things like that for you that you could do on the way into the office or when you way to clients or whatever it is that you do. It might be a stop-off point that could just take 5 minutes for you. Break that into two. Again, has anything come through to you in terms of people in your life? It might be something you realise I need to have a conversation with or connect with. And again, was there anything under that things that you love to do? Get the pen and paper back out. Get those walking boots back out. Dust down the bike, or whatever it might well be. Put yourself onto a class, whatever it might be. I'm just pausing here just so you can be very still and centered with this. We were talking before about time. The person who's very mindful, the person who's very centered, the person who has time for themselves, and is centered, has this ability to kind of most seemingly create time. They operate out of time. You see at those times in sport, some people that rush in, even 100 meters. I was talking about this in a podcast a while ago. Even when those highly competitive, there's the person who's stressed and they're tense, we can see it there. And then there's the person who seems to be relaxed. Even though in slow-mo you might see the wind pulling on their face, but yet, even though they're running, they're relaxed, everything's relaxed. Seems as if they're going slow. Seems that they have more time. I'm a huge fan of tennis, and people who talk about Roger Federer as to be one of the greatest, perhaps the greatest tennis player of all time. People often talk about how he seems to create time, he seems to float in the tennis court. Doesn't ever seem to sweat, very rarely. Just operates in this very peaceful, connected, intuitive space. And so I want to talk about this fourth element here, things you ought need to do. What can happen when we begin to talk about this is that we can think, and it's quite funny then, I just funny enough to intuitively reach for my phone, I was just doing a quick time check and seeing how we do. But it's interesting, when we start thinking about things that we all need to do, that's what happens. We suddenly get caught in the mind thinking, I need to do this, need to do that, need to do that, need to do that. I've got 101 things to do, I've got 1,000,001 things to do. Is that you? Are you the kind of person who says that mantra? It's an illusion. I was just thinking about this earlier, and if you are the kind of person who feels you've got 1,000,001 things to do, write that 1,000,001 things down, 101 things to do. The client, who you often used to say that phrase, things to do. So write them down. Maybe you'll get to 20, maybe you'll get 30, maybe you think you've got hundreds, maybe you might even get to 100. Usually by that point, the mind will be bored or taxed, or you realise, okay, there's only 20, 25 things I need to do. Which of these things are really important? So again, I want you to pause and just be still. Because sometimes when we react from the mind, we say, oh, that. I don't want it just to come just out of the mind. I want you to just really, really be still for a moment. It's really important to you. What is it that we really ought and need to do? I want to start this by looking at some of the fundamentals. Earlier today I was with a wonderful client of mine who ill health came in as being a really big issue from a while ago. First of all, they had an injury, then they had some other health challenges and some very, very serious health challenges that required the time to recover, to recuperate, to be centered. And that's really what this stuff is really, really about. You know, you might even be listening to this and think, okay, it's all very nice and it's very airy fairy, but you know, what's the practical benefit? The fact is that if you're not mindful about this, sooner or later, the wheels are going to fall off. There's going to be poor health physically, mentally, emotionally. You're going to be just so stressed, you're going to be so overwhelmed. Maybe you've been there, maybe you were there in one of your jobs in the past, which is why you left your job. But if you're not careful, you can easily leave one cage only just to build a more beautiful looking cage of your own making, but a cage nonetheless. So with the things I'm talking about here, the things that you really ought and need to do, first of all, are things in terms of your physical health. It's the time that you need to catch up with the doctor, with the dentist, whatever it is that in terms of your circumstances, your optician or physiotherapy, whatever is relevant for you, what in terms of the physical body, what those things you really ought to tend to. With that, it might even be elements about your nutrition and what you're eating, making sure that you're getting enough of the nutrients that you need. I remember a while ago when I wasn't this great at this, I got some neighbours who grew their own food and had their own allotment, and I spoke to them and I hired them to prepare me one meal a day, and within that also to do some fresh juices. It meant that all of the healthy stuff that I knew I needed to get, I got. Healthy juices, fresh juice first thing in the morning, and then balanced lunch meal. So I pause at that time to make sure I'm doing that. So all the core things I need were addressed. If I'm not good at that myself, then it's important I get somebody else to support me in that. So we talked about that physical thing. What are the things that you all need to do? So maybe things in terms of physical health. It would be about your rest. It might well be about your diet. Those things need to be addressed. Are you able to do that yourself? Do you have the confidence, the courage, and the wherewithal and the skill to do that yourself? Or do you need somebody to support you? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Are there any other things that you really need to do? It might well be in all the busyness you've lost track of some other things that might well be very important. Maybe some very important documentation. Maybe your plan is to go on holiday, but you realise that your passport's out of date. You haven't even given that some thought. Maybe it's the case that there's something else that's very, very, very important, a major event that's coming up, or what have you. Only in the calming and the clearing and the centeredness, sometimes you become really aware of these things that are things that you truly ought to need to do. Maybe there's some things weighing very heavily on you. The client that I talked about before, there was a period of time where there was a lot of clutter in her home. It was becoming very overwhelming and it was having an impact on everything else. She got somebody in, an expert, she paid to do that. Now she's really pleased with the result. Clever result. Something you can do yourself. It might be really, really rewarding to do that. Or maybe it's something that with somebody else. Might be something around the home, it might be something in terms of business, there might be other things you need to do, might be setting clear the debts, maybe some really important things financially that you haven't billed these persons, you haven't invoiced those people. It's amazing how some of those things happen. I know somebody again in business, and she's so busy, you know, and it's been some challenging years, but she often forgets to invoice people. So things that are really key to your business, it may well be that you're overlooking because you're not present, you're still, you don't take that time to step back. And that's where taking time out and bringing benefits in combine, because it's often stepping back that you can see more, you can see the big picture. When I step back, I can suddenly see more, wow, I can see that. Before you go in and then you zoom in on the detail and you look at what precisely it is that you need to act on. But without this ability to stop, pause, step back and reflect, you're going to struggle. So what for you are the things that you ought to do and that you need to do? Let's put down 2 or 3. Don't need to put any more than that to start off with, because otherwise you can put in all sorts of things that you may need to do at some point. What things you really need to do for your health and your well-being? Personally, professionally, maybe there's things you need to update. Maybe there's insurance, things like that are very key that you've forgotten. Write those things down. So we have it. So we've covered a lot of ground already. We talked about the time for you. We talked about time for things that you love to do. Or would love to do. This is a wish list of things you'd love to do. Time for loved ones too. So key. Now we talked about this time, things that you need to do. Now, 5th and final of these points, I want to talk about time to review and preview. The power of reflecting is so important. Again, comes to mind a client of mine who, and we all have these different styles. Some people are very, very, very pragmatic. They're getting on with it. Some people are far more philosophical. Some people are far more process-driven. You get some people who are far more reflective and so on. This particular client of mine has a very reflective style. So for her, this time to reflect is incredibly important. But in business or in career, it's really important to have this element of being able to reflect. Sometimes you just need to have those rear view mirrors to check where you're at. Sometimes it's so powerful to be mindful about what it is that you've already achieved, because otherwise you lose track, you're out of touch. I liken this all often, I think I mentioned it in the book Soul-Trader, how it's so easy, you know, shopping list of all the things we want to achieve in life and business, for us to overlook checking in the fridge, in the cupboard, what's already there. And the whole things are going off, things are being spoiled because we have not been present. What things are going well in your business? What's it you've achieved in your business? Maybe there's so much you've achieved. There's a client of mine, she set up her business early last year. She's registered trademarks, she's presented at shows, she's produced products, she's developed all sorts of contacts for her natural health business. There's huge amounts that she's achieved. If it was the case that she weren't to stop and reflect, she may be unaware of what she's achieved. Many, many people in business do not have this quality. Of course, it can be very, very useful to always be energized and be wanting to move them forward, but this ability to stop, to pause, and to consider, it's very important, because it might be, you might think, okay, what's the next step? Before rushing ahead. So you want to pause, review what's gone well, what are you pleased about? And you write that down. One of the things I find amazing, I run lots of courses training people to present and so on. And I often get people to present using a particular tool of presenting back, which is feedback sandwich where you say what's good, what needs to be improved, and what was good. The number of times people would just jump into what wasn't good, into actually very ineffectual self-critique, amazes me. So they're not starting from what's really working. What's already in place? What's already in place? You need to be aware of what is already in place. What's the ground you've already covered? What's it you've already achieved? What's working well for you? What are your skills and what are your strengths? We need to address everything from a position of strength. I've done that, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. So the business is okay. This is in terms of how much we need to turn over this year. These number of clients that we actually need. So really just very top line. Where are you at financially? Where are you at in terms of your marketing and publicity? And where are you at operationally? Top level stuff. Unemotional. Oh, this is in place, this is in place, this is in place. Okay, give yourself credit for that, whatever's been achieved. If you don't give yourself credit, you're going to be adding to the stress. And you're going to feel, when you come back to your business, you're not going to feel energized, you're already going to feel burdened. How many times have you gone on holiday? As soon as you get back or at the end of the weekend, you're already feeling tired on that Monday morning. It's very, very, very common. So what's going on? Then gently, let's do a preview. What's really important? My next talk in September will be about going back to business and focus on what needs to be achieved for the rest of the year. We're recording this here in July. Often in business, not always, because you might be a summer business, you might be in the ice cream business where this is high season, or in hotels or catering or some other industries or weddings and so on. This might be high season for you. But for many people, it might be a time of relaxing, things being quiet, whatever. For some people, there's a bit of blend too, because it might be that they've got kids and other responsibilities, the strange blend between, on one hand, things being quieter in terms of business and so on, but then they're very busy at home domestically. So you need to be mindful of these patterns and these rhythms. So I'm inviting you now to just gently preview what's on the horizon. What can you see? Maybe being just so busy like this, you're completely unaware. So again, pause and step, please review it. Well, what's on the horizon? I'm not sure, or because I haven't ever thought about it. Maybe it's worth starting. How do you feel about the work you're doing, the business that you're running? Are you enthused by it? Someone goes, do you know where you're going to? Do you know where you're going? Do you like the things that life is showing you, the business is showing you? Playing with words here, but it's actually quite apt. Are you enjoying what you're doing? Do you feel there's something you're wanting to change? What happened? Again, I was working with someone earlier today, and she was just thinking about what she wanted to do next. I got her to stop and to pause and reflect on the things that she'd already done, and then really sit about what were some of the ingredients of what she wanted to do next. So it might be that you're at that point, okay, what are the bits in business I really enjoy, what are the bits that I don't enjoy? And then from there, okay, well, what is it that needs to be done? What are the priorities? I'll ask that in a different way, a slightly different question that might bring up other stuff that's useful. What are the things that make the biggest positive impact to you and the business? I think, okay, if I could bring this type of contract, if I could bring this type of piece of work, or if I could get this person in place, what are the things that are priorities in that way? What are the things that would have the biggest impact? Perhaps there are things that are on the horizon, maybe there are changes in your industry, maybe there are family changes or other changes that are going on. So we're gently previewing. I don't mean to get bogged down at this point, because this is all about relaxing and recharging. When you're ready and when you're relaxed and recharged, you can just gently look, okay, this. It's a bit like when you're on holiday. You don't rush to suddenly pack. So it's when you gently know that the holiday is coming towards an end, you gently get everything in place. Maybe from the beginning you're already mindful about that, so you've managed everything, so you're able to do that, so it's not some mad rush. This ability to review and preview is very, very important. And again, it might be something you just want to put some time into your diary. But I now want to just step back from that for a while. And again, just be still. So, mindful of all that. I don't want us to have a mind full of all of that. I want us to be at ease. I want us to be at peace. So I'm inviting you again just to close your eyes. Just be still, just be centered. Don't be worried if there are noises around. Think, oh my God, there's no way I can find peace. You know, the soul trader is able to find peace and stillness even when things may seem busy or frantic. Close your eyes, be very still. I invite you to be very grateful for everything and everybody you have in your life. I want you to gently think about that time for you. This is time for you. What is it you need? Change the body. Is the body feeling at ease? Is some pain? Is it that you've discomfort? Is it time to eat? Is it time you're feeling sleepy? Just listen. The body's giving you information all the time. You're listening. How's the mind? Is it noisy or is it really just thinking, oh, I'm so shut down? Slow down. Enjoy the breath. Again, that deep breath. Because that's going to oxygenate everything in the body. Just make you feel so relaxed. There can be things in there that a few minutes ago you thought were really important, but they're not important at all. It's extraordinary that. And other things that you love to do, generally when you come to mind. Be nourished by them. Invite you to connect to those things. Let them come to mind what they mean to you, what they're important to you. Now I invite you to bring in loved ones too. I invite you to be grateful for them. Gently think about some of those key people in your life. Wish them all here in your mind. Hold them tight here in your heart. Just that there. So this is a very, very powerful way of connecting. It's a way of connecting. So it might be that some of these people are far away at the moment. It might be that there's some work that needs to be done to mend that connection. So this is work where you yourself come to peace with it, and you value them, you appreciate them, can be very, very powerful in transforming those relationships, enhancing those relationships, renewing those relationships. Gently letting the things that you want to need to do, gently make them, be aware of them. Sometimes these are the good excuse that you need to actually take a break again from your business, get on with those things or from your career, looking at time often to do it. It's the beauty of these things sometimes. Now, the review. Where you're at, and you've been ground covered. So you don't need to stock take or general preview. It's important for you the rest of this evening, whenever you're listening to this. Maybe that's what you want to bring to mind. I think actually all you need to do is rest. Maybe for you it's about tomorrow, the next week, the next season. That's all within your gift. Invite to open your eyes again when you're ready in your own time. What's come through for you from this talk? You might gently write it down. It might be for you. Now's not a time for writing things down. It might be just that you're just very mindful about it. As we begin to wrap up, there's a couple of things I want to do. First of all, I just want to see if by chance there's any questions that are on our Facebook. I can't see any questions. But kind of questions that I'm often asked is, how is it that you go about creating some time in that space? I think there are a few different answers to that. Sometimes there are times when you know that you're not effective or you're being distracted. Remember that you spend that time to good use by clearing things out. Because sometimes in those times the energy isn't there for doing work, so maybe you're using that time to clear the desk, have a clearer space, kind of things that will clear your physical space. There's a big connection between space, productivity, and the rich energy. So that can be one tip, those times when you just clear things out. I think another tip here is just bringing in just a little bit of time. I was talking about the 5 minutes or just the 10 minutes. Sometimes for you, putting in an hour a day for this or that, it's just not realistic. Really 5 minutes, 10 minutes. A really good 5-minute meditation is powerful. Try and reduce the amount of stimuli. Does the TV need to be on and the video on and the mobile phone and the tablet and so on? You meet so many people who are all plugged in at the same time, they're all on. Kindle's on this or some other device for reading books. This is on, that's on, that's on, that's on. And they wonder why they're really stressed and overwhelmed. And there's hundreds of books open at the same time. A lot of this is about self-management, self-awareness. And you can manage to make good points that reflecting. So, yeah, that's just 5 minutes. And maybe a 5-minute weekly review. I'll talk about the Soul-Trader book, or a 10-minute business review. Where am I at? What's gone well? What have I achieved this week? Gently look ahead. What are the things that are really important to me? Simple. I think simplicity is the key. And keep asking yourself, what's really most important to me? What's really most important in this business? What's most important to my customers? And the same way in your career. What's really important to me personally? What's really most important in this career in terms of my job and the people I serve? Checking in with yourself. Self, the heart, the soul. As we just draw this to a close, I just want to mention a couple of other things that I mention often that may be useful. For you, relaxation exercise may be useful. Meditation may be useful. Some people, exercise is useful, but be mindful about what type of exercise you need, what energy you actually have. Sometimes it might be time for dynamic exercise, sometimes far more restful exercise. Maybe for you at your point in life where swimming might be far more advantageous for you, or the stage where you just are and so on, then dynamic running or whatever might be, because that might be just for the system or what have you. Be mindful of that. Listen to your body. Time out in nature. Fresh air is very important. You will be nurtured by nature. I think we in life were a bit like dusty windows. The windows will always acquire dust, so it's important to come back to this, because it might be for a long period of time you've got this in check and so on. And before we know it, gradually things got busy, there's bad habits, and then you're being pulled here and there. This is your business. You've got to constantly check, come back up the deck, check what's going on, what's on the horizon, the steering wheel, and times when you're below deck or what have you. Just be mindful of that blend, that balance. And I think that simplicity be your word, your watchword, as is clarity. Clarity, the first chapter in Soul-Trader. Why am I out? What's really important? What I need help to see. Those things very foggy, and be to help you with that fog. Sometimes it might all be time you just need to be present and very still. Again, that's that time for you, that rest sometimes. As I say, sometimes in life there's no problem, sometimes in life there's no solution. Space, simplicity, clarity, appreciation. I feel as though we are pretty much done. So it might be that you have, let's just take a look here, that's their time. We've been speaking here for 50 minutes. Maybe the last 10 minutes or 8 minutes or so by the time I've wound this up. It's time for you. Maybe you want to spend it with meditation, relaxation. I've just got 10 minutes and then go from there, or whatever it might well be. I've just got right notes from here. So you've got going 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 7 minutes by the time I've stopped chatting. Well, thank you for being here. If you want more tools and resources, there's a monthly podcast here. In fact, more than monthly, it's usually once every couple of weeks. It's a podcast. Check out the podcast, the blog, there's some inspiring interviews. There's this monthly webinar, and pop alongs every month. Sometimes we take a summer break. So we'll probably resume in September if you're listening to this. I don't know my voice. I'm just tuning in somewhere ever. So visit www.soul-trader.biz, B-I-Z. You can find that on the book page. You can find free download of the first chapter book if you haven't discovered the book. And there's all sorts of free resources there. Also, for those of you who are interested, there's a Coach Yourself program. So it might be that one thing to just take more charge. So that's that program. There's some really good discounts on getting hold of that. So you can coach yourself at less than the price of an individual coaching session. So that might be relevant for you, but just enjoy whatever is useful for you. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to wish you well. If this has been useful at all, please do post your comments here either on YouTube, on the website, on the blog. And if there's particular topics you'd like me to cover, then feel free to comment on that. Yeah. All I need to do in time is to review and preview. Take care. I'm Rasheed Ogunlaru. See you soon. Bye.